starting the YouTubes, starting the Facebook, starting the IGs. Uh-oh. It seems like we are live, you see. Oh my gosh. We're streaming on all the platforms, y'all. This is exciting. 2 different YouTubes, Facebook, 2 different IGs, Zoom room. By the way, if you want to be part of the Zoom room, I highly encourage you to sign up. uedc.com. Drop in the chat, in the cheesy, figure out what, you know, it might be in there. And you could get this thing on and popping for you. Let's see. We got all of them running. It looks like we do. That's great. Alright, now we'll get this last one on and popping. Peace and love, kings, queens, and gods. You know who it is, and if you don't, daggone it, it's the Floating Yogi, and this is the Floating Yogis Book Club, brought to you by UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, where we are restructuring health and wellness in the community, one healthy habit at a time. So I encourage y'all to come on in, invite a friend. Matter of fact, invite about 10. Because it's the Floating Yogis Book Club and we about to go in. So, this is a little bit of time. What up, Steph Funny? Welcome, welcome, welcome. As I mentioned, this is the time, space, and opportunity to invite some people on through, to invite the whole daggone crew, for us to vibe, chit-chat it up, and just learn something. Get ourselves to a better state of well-being. That's the main focus. Everything else after that, you know, it's extra perks. I like extra perks. Who don't like extra perks? What's some other good things that's happening? I got my guy. Some of the people who help me beat me, help me do what I do. My dude, Pay Over, he's part of the crew. That's DJ Tony. He's from a dimension where people are our greatest resource, and that's exactly what he is. I'm going to have him step in and chop it up a little bit about what we have to offer. What does he do? What's he bringing into the table? What?
So, if you're on IG already, then you're probably doom scrolling. Make sure you add UE.dc to that list. And if you're not on IG already, hop on over. Why not? Because you're listening to us now, so go ahead, hop on over, UE.dc. Check out the story. In it, you're going to see something that says, did you move and meditate today? Or are you bullshitting on your greatness? You then have an option. You can share that you moved and meditated today, or you could share that you're stuck and stagnant, or you can not share at all, but then why would you even have gone there in the first place? Let us know what you're on, where you're doing. Join the growth gang, because if you moved and meditated or not, tomorrow, I'm going to shout you out, and we're going to see how you're doing.
Hey, and that's what it takes. It takes us coming together as a community to help hold each other accountable to the things that are going to put us in a better space, right? I mean, it don't have to be done like an asshole. It could be something as small as, dang, you ain't move and meditate today? Dang, I hope you feeling better. I'm sending some healing vibes your way, some positive energy, so you can get to a space where you can feel like or push through those moments and not wanting to do it. Right? It's those little things. It's those little things. What up, Michelle? Yeah! Hopefully I see you in the manana. Been missing you in the mornings. Speaking of which, some of the people who help me be me, help me do what I do, as I mentioned before, we got Pay Yoga, that's part of the crew. We also have Flow Yoga Center, where you can catch me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 12 for the Ashtanga Mysore portion of the wellness practice that we're trying to get people to tap into, to expand. Hey, what up, cuz Mel? Also, you can catch me at Sun and Moon Yoga, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, where we have the Ashtanga Mysore practice, Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday we have a leg class where we'll put the whole sequence together, and you can start to see it and see how working on it bit by bit helps to create a solid foundation for us to just and knock it out. So that's the gist of it. What else is there? There's some other phenomenal people like Lifeform. Lifeform mats are fantastic. I highly encourage you to check them out. Those are the mats that I use, that Junior uses, that my family uses, so we're not slipping and sliding all over the place. It's all about that firm foundation. This gives us a firm foundation to learn those on-mat lessons. We can take those on-mat lessons off the mat and into our day-to-day life. And that's where the yoga really starts to expand. If you want to be part of the growth gang, if you want to be part of the Zoom room where there is less of a delay, because on the social medias it's about a 30-second delay. So if you want to bypass that, hit up uedc.com. We're going to drop it in the cheesy. You can click the link. It'll take you straight to it. We ain't going to ask you for no credit card to sign up. Just drop your name, your email, and your account's open. Let's grow. That's simple. And hop in the Zoom room. All right. With that being said, this is the last week before we start the new book. New, fresh out there, son. Just hit the water. Bloop. Before we start the new book, the Tao Te Ching, which will be starting next Tuesday. But today, we still got a little Sadhguru action. And I've been asked a couple questions about like chakras, the koshas, and whatnot. And I'm gonna rap a little bit on that. I think I pushed the wrong button. Yeah, I did. We're gonna pin that to the top comment so you can figure out how to do it. There we go. Alright. And the piece that was sticking out to me today was this part about the wishing tree. I just scrolled to something that said thinking yourself out of life, and Lord, is that something. But the wishing tree is what we're reading a little bit of today. If you have the book Inner Engineering, it's on page 188. The mind can be a beautiful servant, but a dangerous master. All right. Your mind can be in 5 different states. It can be inert, meaning it's not active at all. It is in a rudimentary state. If you energize it, it becomes active but scattered. If you energize it further, it's no longer scattered, but it starts oscillating. If you energize it further, it becomes one-pointed. If you energize it still further, it becomes conscious. And if your mind is conscious, it is magic. It's a miracle. It's a bridge to the beyond. This is reading. What's up, Journey? How you feeling and flowing? Welcome. Yeah, no, I feel that. So, essentially, it's inert, and then it ain't doing anything. Then you energize it, and it becomes scattered. It just starts becoming aware of different things. And this happens if you practice. This happens in your practice. You'll notice it. Meditation practice, asana practice. It's the same thing. It's gonna happen. You'll get to that state where it's not energized. Then you energize it, and you start realizing things. So it becomes like scattered. It's like, oh, this over here. Oh, that over there. Then you energize it further, and it finds a little bit of purpose, something that it likes, associates with, wants to draw towards, and then it starts focusing on that. But as it says, it starts oscillating. We'll go to what we're excited about, and then we'll go and think about something else or do something else, and then come back to it. Boom, 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 boom. And a lot of people call this like ADHD. Notice I'm gonna keep reading, right? You want me to keep reading? You don't want me to talk about that. I'm gonna keep reading. And then once you energize it further, it becomes one-pointed, because then we have enough energy to focus on one thing without having to then relax into the opposite or into something else, right? We talked about that when we was reading the Osho book, how it's borderline impossible to do something for 24 hours straight, that if we were to do something, we have to rest in the opposite. And then it's saying even further it becomes conscious. So it can become focused, then it can become conscious. It can become aware. It could become focused, it could become conscious. Ooh, I do think a conscious mind will be a miracle. Because I said it before, the mind is a beautiful servant, but a dangerous master. Alright, let's keep going. Let's keep reading. Let's see what he's talking about.
I feel like those stages are common.
Yes. Yes. Tell me more. What common...
Active but scattered, no longer scattered but oscillating, one-pointed, and then consciousness. I feel like anything that has 4 seasons or that can be broken down into 4 distinct phases could follow that. Kind of like a kid or the life cycle, you know? I mean, once you give something energy, it's usually chaotic. And then as you remove the chaoticness, it goes from the active to oscillating to one-pointed. And then once it's controllable, to the degree that we can perceive, we call it conscious.
Ooh, I like this. I like how you piece that together. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, it's like a marker for... Not a marker. It's a kind of like a system that we go through in different ways, in different phases. I 1000% see that. That's why I was like, we call this ADHD when someone's scattered, thinking about something, trying to do something else, and oscillating between the two.
And then the hyper focus is the one pointed.
Yeah.
Because with the scattered ADHD, you also get that hyperfixation, that obsession into a niche or something like that. So, yeah.
And that's needed. That's how we get deeper for real. That's how we get deeper for real. Inert minds are not a problem. Someone who is very simplified and whose intellect is still not effervescent has no trouble. He eats well, sleeps well. It's only the people who think too much who cannot eat and sleep properly. Simple-minded people perform all the activities of the body far better than the so-called intellectuals of the world. There's a certain peace in them because you need some intelligence to create disturbance and chaos. An inert mind is close to an animal nature than to human. Hey, what up, Brent? Welcome. The moment you pump some energy into the moment you pump in some energy, the mind becomes active, but it's often scattered. When some people begin their spiritual practice, they may experience a new level of effervescence that they may not be able to handle unless they are in a congenial atmosphere. They may interpret this mental effervescence powered by new energy levels in the system as a disturbance. There's a pervasive paranoia among people with a tendency to fear everything that's new. But in reality, all they're doing is moving from inertness towards a higher level of aliveness. So some of these things, we gotta go with it. Go with the scattered thoughts. See where they take you. Welcome, y'all. We vibing. And welcome to the crew. If you want to be part of the growth gang, go and tap on that link. You can't tap on the link. Go and copy paste that thing and come join us in the browser, in the Zoom room, y'all. Welcome. All right. Once those two have very scattered minds start spiritual practices, they reach a place where the mind becomes less diffused. But now it starts oscillating. One day it moves this way, another day the other way. This is, however, a huge improvement over being scattered, where the mind moves every moment across 10 different places. Alright, good. I'm glad he brought that up. Because a scattered mind and an oscillating mind, a little bit different. If you're oscillating between like two things, that it's easier to keep in mind what you're oscillating between and to not get too scattered and thrown off. But if you're thinking about your to-do list, if you're thinking about your family, if you're thinking about your work, if you're thinking about what you got to do, where you got to do it, how you got to do it, that scatteredness doesn't allow us to go deep. And we're deep creatures in nature as much as we be trying to stay shallow, because avoidance is not allowing us to go get better at things, and not allowing us to get closer to things, not allowing us to overcome things. So the oscillation is like, okay, now I'm focused a little more. It's just these two things that got me bouncing back and forth. I can keep two things in mind, but 5, 7, 12, it starts to get a little tricky. Okay, if the mind was already oscillating and its energy energized further, then slowly it becomes concentrated, or, as we say in yoga, one-pointed. That is far better than the previous state, but the highest state is when the mind becomes conscious. In terms of instrument, it is not your computer, car, or spacecraft, but the human mind is the most miraculous if you can use it consciously. So a human mind is more miraculous than a computer, a car, or spacecraft, but you have to use it consciously. The reason why success comes so easily and naturally for one person and is a struggle for someone else is essentially this. One person has organized his or her mind to think the way he wants, and the other thinks against his or her own interests. That reads for me. Because there's a book called We Are the Mountain. I think that's the name of it. But essentially what it's saying is we put all these obstacles in front of us. And it could be something like our preferences, something that we don't want to do, something that we do want to do, the way we want something to turn out. And then we start boxing ourselves in for the things that we want to manifest in this world. We're not necessarily able to bring them to fruition because we don't think that it's possible, or we don't have the right train of thought to actually manifest it. We're too scattered.
Now that sounds like it could be a self-discipline thing. Bing! The way you put it. Now, and that's what it sticks out to me because he says another thinks against his or her own interests. Right now we're getting political.
Okay.
And people on the other side don't understand how people on the other side can vote against their own self-interest. But for me, it's all about perspective. Now, that's the first, people vote against their own self-interest. That could be for misinformation. However, short of addiction, I feel like we probably know a couple people who aren't addicts in the traditional sense or in the emergency sense, but rather just don't have good priorities. We can say that financially, if we need to. And so when it says another thinks against his own self-interest, I'm thinking it would really benefit some of these people to wait on the second marshmallow instead of just taking the first marshmallow right away. But since they are unable to properly think about it, they can't make the action of waiting and practicing self-discipline actually come to fruition.
I like that. Yeah. Another way that how you said, miseducation is a big one, and the closed-mindedness to go with it. If we've been misinformed about something and we're not able to adjust our beliefs based on new information, we are our own problem.
Cognitive dissonance, we're getting into that realm a little.
Come on, let's dive a little bit deeper. into this.
I feel like cognitive dissonance is just a scientific word for I can't believe it.
It ain't even you can't believe somebody because they ain't even at the point where they can actually digest the new information. because they're not even able to integrate it into their life. That's a
It
tricky
can't
place to be
exist. But
that's a tricky place to be in when you're essentially lying to yourself. So
I feel like we're all like we all get there sometimes. Anytime I feel like we need to change our deep beliefs, we experience cognitive dissonance.
then we need to change our what type of beliefs?
Our deep beliefs.
Oh, our deeply, like our foundational beliefs. Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime you're heartbroken, you experience cognitive dissonance because you can't believe. Every time you're heartbroken, something has gone terribly wrong. Someone has made a mistake. There's pain that needs to be fixed or remedied, or there's suffering, and the cognitive dissonance is, how could this happen? Where did it go wrong? What could have gone better? I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of different things that may or may not be able to be accepted in those emotional moments.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. The crux is just not being able to accept reality.
Like I said, every time I researched it, it's come down to the scientific term for, I can't believe this. No matter how much evidence or research, no matter how much I want to believe this, my mind won't let me because of everything I already know.
We got to do a lot of relearning too, because that's a whole other thing. The miseducation be slowing people back and be holding people back. And we gonna get past that. That's why we doing this right here. That's why we having these conversations right here, so we can learn a little bit. Hopefully, we're able to get past that little disbelief filter that people have, and have an experience by having an experience ourselves. Or maybe something we're speaking of is a common experience that somebody can vibe with, and they're like, you know what? I never looked at it that way. Strokes beard. Okay. A well-established human mind is referred to as kalpavrksha, or a wishing tree that grants any boon. With such a mind, whatever you ask for becomes reality. All you need to do is develop the mind to a point where it becomes a wishing tree, rather than a source of madness. A mind that can manifest whatever it chooses is described in yoga as being a state of samyukti. This is a skillfulness that arises out of equanimity. Once your thoughts are organized, your emotions will also get organized, gradually. Your energies in the body get organized in the same direction as well. However, the order in which you address these dimensions could vary, depending on what you're ready for. Considering the realities of the day, most people are not ready for any system unless they're first intellectually convinced of it. I'm going to read that again, because that's bars. Absolute facts. Considering the realities of the day, most people are not ready for any system unless they are first intellectually convinced of it. And that has a lot to do with the practice that I'll speak on. I can sit here and talk to people till I'm blue in the face. Oh, wow, all these benefits. I see how it helped you, and you're showing me so many people that it has helped. But, I can't get up and do these sun salutations that take me 6 minutes. It doesn't matter how much. It's just so hard. All right. Well, I gave you all the info. You're not convinced of it. You need to have an experience where you're not able to deny what's happened. So either we're going to work together here and you're going to try something, or I'm not your teacher. Maybe you're going to come back in like a couple months or a couple years. Maybe you have an experience that does connect. Hey, what up, Kiana? What up, Chantel? We got Kenneth Brand in the building. Check out their yoga clothes, y'all. Check out their yoga clothes. Soon they're going to have some men's line. Okay, that's it. That's all. That's it for the moment. Because I need some yoga pants. Alright, move forward. Eventually, once your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy are channeled in one direction, your ability to create and manifest what you want is incredible. I highly agree. 1,000,000%. Incredible. We start to see the dissonance between the things we want and how we move and why it's not been allotted to us. But you got to do it. It's an experience. Stop trying to have the mind lead the way. Let the heart do it. Have the experience. Use the mind to dissect it, to give us perspective. Where are we at? Today, modern science is proving that this whole existence is just a reverberation of energy, an endless vibration. Thoughts, too, are a reverberation. If you generate a powerful thought and let it out, it will always manifest itself. For this to happen, it is important that you do not impede and weaken your thought by creating negative and self-defeating thought patterns. Right? We don't want to have those. That's going to hold us back, clearly. Generally, people use faith as a means to banish negative thoughts. Once you become a thinking human being, however, doubts invariably surface. The way your mind is made, if God appears right here in this moment, you will not surrender to him or her. Instead, you would want to conduct an investigation to figure out whether this is the genuine article or not. Goodness gracious, do you see what I mean? Am I right or am I right? Well, actually, I didn't, write this. He wrote this. I just said it. Is what I said right or what I said wrong? That's all I want to know. DM the Zoom link. Ooh. Yes. Working. Yes, Brent. Thank you. It is in the cheesy uedc.com. Go and sign up for an account. It'll take you to courses.uedc and everything right there for you. Nice and cozy. And you can slide on in the Zoom room. We can keep rapping. But am I the only one who thinks that that's the thing? Like, if God were to appear in front of most people, do you think that they would believe as God? What about you, Tony?
Well, I think some of us think this is all just a simulation anyway. So if we're questioning reality in itself, or we're questioning if this is a simulation, then when God appears, isn't it only natural to question that as well?
I mean, if our experiences are a simulation, because I don't believe the people are simulations, even though a lot of people act like robots or zombies, I don't believe that they're a simulation, but I believe we're having experiences within a simulation. So, if I saw God, I don't know what that thing would look like. I would have to do some checking. That's why if I'm saying it, that's why I'm saying, who else is going to be like, oh no, that's God. That's the homie I saw in the book. Then we ain't even got no photos of this man or woman, just like stated in the book.
Bad.
So all I'm saying is there's going to be a little validating period. You're like, let me verify this person. Let me do the 2-step verification. Send me a text. Send me an email. Let me type in the code. We all know how that works.
Even the disciples needed to touch the holes in his hands.
Come on now. Yes, bring them Bible quotes. Yeah. Alright, that's what I'm talking about. Generally, people use, I already read that part. There is an alternative to faith, which is commitment. I'm going to let that sink in, because that was powerful on my end. If you simply commit yourself to creating what you really care for, now, once again, your thoughts get organized in such a way that there are no hurdles. Your thoughts flow freely towards what you want, and once this happens, the manifestation of your desire is a natural consequence. To create what you really care for, your desire must first be well maintained in your mind. Is that really what you want? Think it through carefully. How many times in your life have you thought, this is it? The moment you got there and realized that this is not it at all. So, first explore what it is you really want. Once that is clear to you and you commit to creating it, you generate a continuous process of thought in that direction. When you maintain a steady stream of thought without changing direction, without that oscillation, when we find that one pointedness, it will manifest as a reality in your life. There are yogic processes by which you can touch other dimensions of intelligence unsullied by memory called chitta, which we have mentioned earlier. Realizing the power of chitta is called chit shakti, a simple and powerful process through which you can access the very source of creation within you. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Chitta is one of the 4 states of the mind. We have manas, which is memory. We have ahankara, which is intellect. We have ahankara, which is identity. We have buddhi, which is intellect, and we have chittas, which is a state of intellect that just doesn't have any memory associated with it. What up, Z? Welcome. There's like 16 different types of memory, from like ancestral memory, body memory, mental memory, spiritual. There's a whole bunch of different memories. We get into them, at some point. I gotta find where it's at in the book. But I love the concept of the alternative to faith is commitment, because there are things we have to commit ourselves to actually reap the benefits of whatever process that we're following through on. It's just like practice. If you're a musician and you're not practicing, you're not gonna get better. We kind of gotta follow the system, commit ourselves to practicing, commit ourselves to not giving up when things get shitty. Welcome, Kiana. Hey. And welcome, Anna. What up with you? Okay. A little more. Ooh. There was another part that I wanted to... Yeah, we could talk about that. The myth of the head versus the heart. This was a good piece that we would read when we read it the first time. Oh man, this was a little saucy. So, anything sticking out to you, I encourage you to tap in, say something. Drop it in the cheesy if you're on one of these 6 social media platforms. Before we get started, let me tell you about some of the people who helped me be me. We got my guy Payover in the crew. We got DJ Tony. He's making things happen. We got Brent LV. He's doing it too. We got Lifeform Yoga mats, phenomenal mats to get those on mat practice so we can take it off of the mat and integrate it into our life in sessions like this, and sessions like Midday Mind Right on Thursday that you can come to, right? Free 99. All we have to do is pay attention, right? Not that oscillating stuff, not that scattered stuff. We're going to get our way to that one pointedness. We're going to get our way to that focus. I'm going to throw a little Kenneth Brand out there. What up, though? I ain't able to fit in them. It doesn't hug my curves the way that I want. But for the ladies, that don't look good, It don't fit me the way I want it to, but it look good on y'all. I encourage y'all to check it out. See, IG doing those games. They cutting me off on the video. I ain't gonna let you do that. What up, Supernova DC? Hey, I ain't seen you in a minute. Hey, welcome. Alright, the myth of the head versus the heart. It is common to hear people say that their head leads them in one direction and their heart in another. In yoga, the fundamental basis we establish is this. You are one person, a single unified being. There is no separation of the head and the heart. You are one whole. Let us first understand what is being referred to as the head and the heart. You usually assign your thoughts to the head and your emotions to your heart. But if you look at this carefully and with absolute sincerity, you will realize that the way you think is the way you feel. But it is also true that the way you feel is the way you think. This is why yoga includes both thought and emotion as part of the same manamaya kosha, or the mental body. We talked about the koshas before. Let me know if y'all want to chat about the koshas after we finish this a little bit, or if y'all want to talk a little bit more about the chakras. Those are two that I had to kind of bring in the back end if we got time. Okay, what you normally think of as mind is a thought process or intellect, but in fact, the mind has many dimensions. Oh, we're getting into it. One is the logical aspect. Another is a deeper emotional aspect. The intellect, as we know, is termed buddhi. The deeper dimension of the mind is conventionally known as the heart. But in yoga, the deeper emotional mind is known as manas, memory. Manas is a complex amalgamation of memory that molds emotions in a particular way. So, the way you feel and the way you think are both activities of the mind. Are you with me here? Did we scatter? Did we oscillate? Or are we single pointed? Talk to me. Talk to me. It is quite simple. If you think you're a wonderful person, I will have a sweet emotion towards you. If I think you're a horrible person, I will harbor nasty emotions towards you. If you make someone your enemy and then try to love him or her, that is hard work. Let us not make hard work of simple aspects of life. I've heard things before where they say, like, love your enemy. That is, I respect that. It's definitely from a distance, and it's definitely not the type of love that I'm giving my family and my friends and those who actually support me.
You know, I'm Pyoger man, but I think the love I have for my enemy is spiteful or petty. It's like, I want to see them eat, but not at my table. And because they're my enemy, they're not allowed any of my resources.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. On both.
So yeah, I can love my enemy. So I'm gonna love my enemy, but it's not gonna be the same. Like, no, my loving my enemy means I'm just not gonna kill you if I get the chance. That's love right there. Because if you my enemy and I don't kill you, that's love. That's mercy.
I support these thoughts. If I don't completely demolish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, put everything behind the 8 ball, if I don't do that, if I'm not intentionally doing something to make your life bad,
that's love.
That's love. Just live and let live. That's what that's doing in my mind. In my mind. And I like that. I like that. Don't eat at my table. You're not going to eat at my table. And
I still want to see you eat, just not at my table. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I don't even want to see you eat, but
I just don't want to see you starve.
And that's love.
You're my enemy, but I'm not going to take pleasure
in your pain.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to see. You're my enemy, but I don't hate you in my heart.
Yeah, that's not for me to hold. I don't want to hold that because that's a lot to hold, and that's a lot that's going to weigh on the spirit and weigh on the body and weigh on the mind. And I got other things that I want to actually manifest to act instead of sending all my attention, all of that thought energy reverberating around to negativity. I'm gonna send it to me growing, because once I grow enough, then the little stuff other people doing ain't even gonna matter anyway.
just a type of person who hates people. Like, I don't know. It's a certain personality type that isn't conducive to many social relationships.
When you figure out some of the telltale signs, let me know. Because I feel like that could be a thing, most certainly. All right, all right. Um, the way you think is the way you feel, but thought and feeling seem to be different in your experience. Why is this so? Because thought has a certain clarity, a certain agility about it. Emotion is slower. Today you think this is a very wonderful person and you have warm feelings about him, and suddenly he does something that you don't like and you think he's horrible. Your thoughts tell you he's horrible, but your emotions cannot change immediately. It struggles. If it's sweet now, it cannot turn bitter the very next moment. It takes time to turn around. It is a wider turning area. Depending on the strength of your emotions, maybe it'll take 3 days or 3 months or 3 years, but after some times, it will turn around. Yeah, that's facts. I've had friends, alleged friends, who turned into nobodies or enemies, and it's like, hold on, I'm not supposed to talk to you like this. I'm not supposed to send you memes. Let me stop. But it took a minute for me to even realize and put the two together. It was just so like reactionary. Oh yeah. Oh. And I've had people that I don't necessarily, that didn't put the best first impression on me. Let's go with that. And then it's like, they kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then it's like, okay. That was them standing their ground. They're not really assholes trying to impose and do what they want. They're just, that was just the one time, and it happened to be the first time that we met. Okay, they're not a-holes, and I shouldn't treat them like such. Okay, let's work on that. So I totally understand the speed and the speed, intensity, and the turning point with them. I think it takes a little bit of time. I get that. It is not useful to create this conflict between head and heart. Emotions are just the juicier part of thought. You can enjoy its sweetness, but it's largely the thought that leads the emotion. Whether you recognize it or not, emotion is entirely steady. Your emotion also chatters, goes this way and that, but it's less agile than thought. Since it takes longer to turn and its intensity is usually substantially greater than thought, it often seems as though thought and emotions are different, but they are no more separate than a sugar cane and its juice. Picking up what we're putting down? Thought is not as intense as emotion is in most people's experience. You usually do not think as intensely as you get angry, for instance. But if you generate an intense enough thought, it can overwhelm you. Only 5 to 10% of the population may be capable of generating this kind of thought that is so intense that there is no need for emotion. 90% of the population can only generate intense emotion because they have never done the necessary work in the other direction. But there are people whose thought is very deep. They don't have much emotion, but they are very deep thinkers. It is not best to create polarities within yourself. That makes for civil war and schizophrenia. Thought and feeling are not different. One is dry, another is juicy. Enjoy both. I absolutely love that breakdown. Absolutely love that breakdown of thought, emotion, of how we go between the two, the alleged conflict between the two. It's two sides to the coin. That's it. It's all the same thing. But one's just giving us a quicker synopsis of what we're experiencing, which is the thought. And the other one's giving us a little bit milky. Maybe that's not the right word. Another juicy. Yeah, I'm just going to use juicy.
I remember reading this the first time through.
Any difference? Any differences?
It's less extreme this time. It's best not to create polarities within yourself. However, I think a lot of times it naturally is and are, like wet and dry, like dry and juicy. The first time through, I was thinking of it more like water and a sponge. But this time through, I'm reading it more like the brain is a juicy fruit.
Yeah. Emotions are a juicy fruit and not the candy.
So it's less of two separate things like water and sponge and more of something like the juice of the meat of something that grows together.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. I see.
So that's the difference in the second time and the first time for me.
Okay. Now that
the mental image I created is closer to that lack of polarity.
Mm-hmm. And that's reading, because a whole bunch of the concepts is really just transcending that duality. But one of the things is, if we don't acknowledge that the duality exists, then we're going to forever be blind to it, and we're forever going to misread or misinterpret some things because we don't have a full understanding of what they are separately themselves. Ooh. Toasty. That's Quiznos. I thought it was juicy for a second. Anyway.
And they had those rats on their commercials back in the day. Oh.
Yo,
and the honeycomb thing was on crack.
It was.
Man.
Yeah, the honeycombs were probably laced with cocaine.
Hey, Coke used to have coke in it.
And we know where they got the name.
And the billions of dollars in capitalism.
And the billions of dollars through capitalist addiction. Yes, thoroughly understand.
Can you imagine how many food products would just drug if there was absolutely no regulations? Knowing how much they already drug with the regulations?
Bruh, I don't even understand how these regulations work, because every drug I see on TV, the side effect is death. So I don't know what their regulations are. It shouldn't kill you fast. Like they even be having like, oh, it could cause cancer, ulcers, heart attack, stroke. Oh, what are you solving? Mosquito bite itches. Bruh, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna scratch that junk. If
night terrors, sleepwalking, diarrhea, loose stool, orally discharge.
You're giving me a whole slew of different symptoms to deal with just to fix the itchy mosquito bite.
Depression, anxiety.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, we could be rapping fast. But next week we start the new book, The Tao Te Ching. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah!
Woo! And I may have a book to read after that. I might. It's called Bird. Excuse me. Times two. Okay. It's called How Yoga Works. It's been pretty interesting. Good night. It's been pretty interesting. It's kind of about the Yoga Sutras in a story format. It's been super saucy. It's been bringing up a lot of things from the teacher's perspective for the student to get a better idea of the system they're placing themselves into. But is it something that I want to necessarily read on book club? Kinda. I kinda do. We'll see when we get to it. It might be this. It might be the Celestine prophecies. Who knows? I don't. But I do know that the Tao Te Ching is up next. So bring it. I'm talking about this book, How Yoga Works. It essentially, if you were to take a yoga teacher training, everybody and their mother reads this book. Not necessarily this exact copy, but the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And let me give you a breakdown of how it starts. Real quick, just so you get an idea of how it's not a story, it's just information. Kind of like how Meditations was. You just read a portion of it. The start of this book, the first Yoga Sutra is now the exposition of yoga is being made. And then he'll give a little breakdown about what that's supposed to mean. It's literally a paragraph. Then the next one is the restraint of the modifications of the mind stuff is yoga. Still, just random phrases, not necessarily connecting to much, right? Or is it? We shall see. The third is, and then the seer, self, abides in its own nature. How did we get here? From the restrictions of the modification of the mind stuff that allows the seer to abide in its own nature? Is that what it's saying? The fourth one. At other times, the self appears to assume the forms of the mental modifications. So what they're saying is that when I restrain the modifications of the mind stuff, then I can rest in my own nature, and at times I'll assume the role of being the mental modifications. Well, what are mental modifications? Number 5, there are 5 kinds of mental modifications, which are either painful or painless. Oh, so there's something associated with it. But what are these 5? What are these 5 mental modifications? They are right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. So you see how it kind of like gives you something, makes you think about it, and then expands on it a little bit later or adds to it to give a little bit clarity on whatever it was saying before. But the book is not necessarily a book to read. This book takes bits and pieces of these Yoga Sutras and puts them in a story format of this girl who is traveling through India with a yoga book with Sanskrit in it, which is the ancient language. It's kind of like almost a forgotten language, but an ancient old language. And a police officer, when she's trying to cross a border, finds her with a book, and it has this writing in it. Not able to read it, not able to speak it, but the person who finds the book was like, yeah, it's time to dip. You coming with me. This is not your book. You stole this. And now she is a prisoner in a jail, not given food and water, and she has to help the captain fix his bad back. So now her process of teaching the captain yoga is being put on display for us to talk about. which gives good insight into some of the things that we're looking at, looking for, different ways to talk about them, different ways to bring some of the on-mat things that happen into our day-to-day life, into our awareness, because the biggest thing is we're not aware of it. Once we're aware of it, we typically make the adjustment ourselves. But this is another book, and I like it so far. It hits home. Anyway, with that being said, now that we got the spiel, we're going to start tomorrow with the next week with the Tao Te Ching. Whoa, let's go! And we got some fun stuff after that. So with that being said, check out the sponsors, check out the sponsors, check out the partners. We got Yoga Universe, Lifeform Yoga Mats. I'm going to even throw Kenneth back out there. Soon we're going to have the men's yoga pants. Yui, My Fit DC, daggone it. It's so many people who help me be me. I appreciate every single one of y'all. So, come in next week. Come back Thursday at 12 for Midday Mind Right, where we can take some of these concepts and let's grow, yo. Let's sit with the shit so we can have a better understanding of how we can move through it. Right?
Go over the books one more time, just in case anybody missed which book she was ending with there.
We were reading Sadhguru's Inner Engineering, A Yogi's Guide to Joy, and we talked about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali talks about different concepts within yoga, and then this book, How Yoga Works, kind of puts them in a story format for us, for it to make it a little bit easier digestible. But we're not reading that. We're reading that Tao Te Ching starting next week. Hold up, I think starting next week. 7 days from now is the 30th. Okay, so it's starting the week after next. Such is life, but you get the gist. We're starting in May. Wow, humbug. Alright, anyway, peace and love, y'all. Thanks for flowing. Thanks for growing with us.